this to record today, but it will not record anyone else's screen but my own, just so that you all know that at home. That's a new setting that it announces that it's recording, so sorry if that disturbed anyone. So welcome to Gentle Yoga. With our backs flat down onto the floor, however you feel most comfortable, just start to settle into the earth. Let your breath be slow and steady. Maybe inviting in some full inhales, and let those be followed by slow, full exhales. Today's gentle class will get us some movement, of course, some stretching, a little bit of strengthening, a little work on balance, but for the most part, we're here. I'll let things go. Let things settle back into place after whatever stresses have come across our plate in the last few days. Use your breath as a guide to tell you when and where the effort should go in your practice. If your hands have been rested on the earth, go ahead and bring them to rest on your belly. See how your shoulder blades feel, maybe pulling those out from underneath. See where the back of the head sets on the earth. And invite in that same breath, but this time we're going to pay attention to what happens to the belly. So as you take a nice slow, full inhale, you'll feel your hands begin to rise up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, you'll feel your belly button start to fall down towards your spine, hands falling closer to the earth. This is called belly breath. It's a wonderful way to help us relax. To be very aware and in tune to what's happening within the breath, within our own body. Encourages us to get out of that shallow breathing pattern that we often find ourselves in. And just breathe. As your body feels ready, we'll let those knees walk their way up the mat, feet walking up, knees then begin to windshield wiper right and left. You can keep your hands on your belly as you twist slowly side to side, helping you remember the core engagement that can happen here in a simple spinal twist. But remember, it's really early in the practice, so if twists feel a little irritating to your spine, take them easy. They don't need to go to their fullest version. Just kind of sweeping those knees gently right and left. Now the next time the knees are back to center, let's go ahead and pause there. Walk the heels a little closer to your glutes so that your knees have a deeper bend in them. And then just lift your right foot up towards the sky. Maybe you point and flex your toes here a little bit. It might feel nice to take the hands off the belly and lay them on the floor on either sides of you, or maybe you even bring your hands up to the back of your thigh to add just a little more stretch for that hamstring. Again, you might roll the ankle, point and flex the toes. And then just take your time and bring that knee back down to your belly. Hug it in nice and close. Maybe hands go to the shins or the back of the thigh. You've got a bent knee, you can stay right here, or if you're looking for a little deeper stretch, maybe that left leg goes long down the mat and you've got one knee bent and one leg straight. Again, movement with the toes, the ankle. You might even pull that knee slightly over towards the right edge of your mat, maybe even using your left hand to push at the left side of the pelvis or towards the left hip. Keep that side of the body kind of grounded into the earth. And then right knee starts to come back towards center. Drop the left foot to the ground, walking that heel a little closer to your glutes, a tighter bend, and then just lift the left leg this time up towards the sky. Pointing and flexing the toes for a moment, hands can stay on the earth, or maybe they grab on the back of your thigh. Again, rolling this around through the ankle and the toes. And then we'll bend that left knee and we'll hug it into the belly. Maybe your right foot stays on the earth, or perhaps you extend your right leg long down the mat, giving yourself that same deep stretch that you took on the other side. Remembering you can have some movement here, so you can pull this left knee slightly towards the left corner of your mat. Maybe you even just kind of play with your ankles some more, or your toes, and just get some movement into that part of the body. Right hand might rest on your pelvis or over towards your hip. Excellent. Begin to bring this left foot back down to the mat. Big bend in your left knee. And then bend your right knee to meet your left. So both knees are now standing up towards the ceiling. Feet are rooted down into the earth. Pulling those heels a little closer to your glutes. You're going to set for a yoga bridge. So this isn't a really big shape. I just want you to think about relaxing your shoulders down onto the ground as well as your back of your head. String tied to your belly button. When you're ready, pull that string on your belly up towards the sky. Just a gentle opener here for the front side of the body, keeping a little bit of pressure between your thighs. So almost think about if you had a yoga block between your knees, you could use it. You could give it a little squeeze. One more breath here. Excellent work, friends. Just take your time to slowly lower all that down to ground. You're going to walk the soles of feet to meet one another. They're going to find themselves to touch, and then your knees will fall out to the side, kind of a butterfly shape with your lower body. Bring your right hand to rest on your heart, and your left hand to your belly. Belly breath again. Inhaling to feel that hand on the belly rise slightly higher than the one on the heart. And then exhale, belly down towards the mat. Maybe even counting your breath up to 1, 2, 3, 4, perhaps. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do it yourself this time. Maybe go a little longer than me. Watching that breath as it rises on the inhale and falls on the exhale. Hands starting to reach for the outer edges of the knees. We'll stand those knees back up towards center. Windshield wiper the knees right and left. And then if it feels okay in your body, you're going to take a reclined star. So all this means is you're going to stretch your legs nice and long, but they're going to go kind of far apart from one another. And then you're going to see if you can make your arms go up over your head and do the similar shape. So you look like a big X, or kind of a C star resting on the earth. Of course, if that bothers your back, you can do this one leg at a time and stretch the left leg long with a bent right knee. And then maybe you switch and do right leg long with a bent left knee. Not all of us feel good in this big shape, so if it doesn't work for you today, please know you can always modify any of the suggestions that I give you. You always have to pay attention to what works best in your body. As you rest in that star shape, go ahead and let your nose sway back and forth across the ceiling. Maybe playing with your palms of the hands, if they've been kind of flipped to the sides, maybe flip them so palms are facing upward. You might plant the back of your head in the ground and try to just slightly lift out your shoulder blades. Just let your upper back have a little bit more space. And then I want your heels to plant and your toes to kind of sway back and forth. So you don't necessarily turn them all the way in to face one another, but just playing with a little bit of rotation through that hip flexor. So toes might face outward, and then you might slowly start to point them straight to ceiling, and then maybe slightly inward towards one another. Of course, paying attention to what feels good in your body. If you need to do this 1 foot at a time, that is certainly always an option. Or you can allow both feet to have some movement. You might even get your head to match, so maybe when you stand the feet up, your head goes right. When you turn the toes in, your head goes left. It's small movements, but it's doing lots of good things within the body. Next time those feet stand up to face the ceiling, bring your head back to center position. Start to bend the elbows so that the arms come down closer to the body. We're going to put our elbows right along our rib cage and stand your hands up to face the ceiling. So what I mean by that is it looks like you got two 90-degree angles happening with your arms. Elbows are close to the rib cage, push down into the earth, fingertips pointed up to the sky. Start to walk the soles of the feet in so that your knees are bent. You're setting for bridge with 90-degree angle arms right next to your body. When you go ahead this time and think about that string on your belly button, you're going to push the backs of the arms and the elbows into the earth. Again, those fingertips are pointed straight up towards the sky. So when you're ready, lift those hips up off the ground, open up thoracic spine, so right down the middle of your back. Heart lifted to the sky. We'll hold for 3, 2, 1. Take your time to slowly lower all of that back down, including the hands, to find the earth. And then you've got options. You can rock knees side to side, or it might feel good to give them a good hug, pulling both knees into your chest. Whatever feels best in your own body. We're going to begin to work ourselves up towards our seat. So you might choose to rock and roll on your spine forward and back until you come to a seat. Or maybe you just roll to one side and use the earth. Whatever it takes to find just a nice, good seated position. Sit up tall. Kind of pull the sits bones so that they get a little cushion out from underneath of you. Get those sits bones in the ground and find a tall spine. Close your eyes and just let your shoulders have a little space. Maybe they lift and lower. Maybe your head sways a little bit side to side, just kind of getting familiar with how we feel resting here in a seated posture. Then pull your head up so that as if we had a string on the top of our head, it was pulled towards the sky. Hands are going to look for the earth on either sides of your mat. Right ear begins to fall towards your right shoulder. If you're looking for a little more stretch, maybe your right hand comes up and just adds just a tiny bit of pressure, just weight on the head. Not all of us need that. Inhale, bring the chest back up nice and tall. Exhale, let the other ear go to the other side. Now remembering, anytime if you're uncomfortable sitting on the earth, if you want to add props, you certainly can. You can always put a block under our seat or a pillow, a bolster, or a blanket. I'm not going to sit for too long, but if you need something. Inhale, bring your head back up nice and tall, and then start to reach for the sky. So inhale, hands go up. Exhale, right hand falls down, side body stretch with those left fingertips. Now I'm gonna give you options. You can face towards the earth, you can face straight out, or maybe you direct a little bit of gaze towards the ceiling. Inhale, bring this back up to center, and then let's go the other way. Same thing. Same three options for your gaze. Floor, to the side, or maybe a little more opening to the ceiling. Continue to breathe. It's pretty popular to want to hold your breath in these big shapes. Inhale, hands go up, and then just bring them down to your heart. Exhale, breath. Using those fingertips, we're going to give a little imagery today. So inhaling as if they were a bouquet of flowers, and then exhaling like they're a set of candles. Let those shoulders relax. Beautiful. Both hands walk to your right leg. Build your spine nice and tall, and then begin to just gaze over that right shoulder. If you need to adjust your legs after sitting here for a little bit, feel free. Inhale, bring the chest back through, and let's go the other way. Hands move to this left leg. Build the spine nice and tall, and then maybe we twist again. Our spine moves in 6 directions. We just hit 4 of them. Side to side, and having to twist, bring it back to center. We'll hit the last 2 directions when we move to hands and knees. So we're gonna find a tabletop position. If you know you have any sensitivity in the knees, it needs a little extra cushion on this hard floor, feel free to reach for any kind of props you want for that, but you should be pretty good. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, everybody looks good. Couple cat-cows, so you know what to do here. Just the belly drops down on your inhale, chin lifts, tail lifts, and then you get a nice spine rounding on your exhale. You look like an angry cat lifting the spine towards the ceiling. So inhale, belly drops. Exhale, back rounds. 2 more times at your own pace, just letting the breath move through the body. These all look really great, guys. Articulating the spine, paying attention to each little edge, little curve, little notch. Beautiful. Once you hit that next cat, just start to sit hips back towards heels. You're going to find child's pose. Child's pose can look different for all of us. Maybe your knees have some distance, maybe they're close together, maybe you just bring forearms down and you kind of got your hips up in the air still a little bit because flexibility just doesn't allow them to sit all the way back on your heels. Or maybe you feel comfortable just really sitting into the earth. Forehead might come down to the ground. You might stretch your arms really long or soften them and put your elbows on the ground. There's always space to make each one of these postures fit whatever mood, whatever desires that your body might be asking for. Just make the shapes fit you rather than you trying to fit into the shape. Breathe. If you have any tension hiding in your forehead this morning, maybe you build a little tower of fists. You put your forehead right on that and you give it a little massage. Be intentional with this breathing and relax the muscles of your face. Perfect. From here, we're going to take our time to bring ourselves back up to table. Right foot is going to step forward between your thumbs, between your palms. So even if it needs a little help to get itself up here towards the top of your mat, feel free to kind of do what you need to do to get that in a good space. I have left my blocks without, they're over there. So if you have blocks and you want them, you can certainly put those in your hands here. Maybe you lean into this front foot, maybe you kind of come off of it because it's a little too much this morning. You decide how that feels in your body. And then we'll see if we can build up, we can graduate. So I'm coming back to put a little more weight in this back knee. Option to keep toenails flat, or if you need it for balance, you can certainly curl those toes under. Start to bring your chest up, and then maybe Your arms come too. Relaxing the shoulders down away from your ears. We'll hold here. And then you're just going to bring your hands to a prayer right at the heart. And then we're going to take them just outside that front knee, adding a little twist today. And you can certainly stay right here, or if this top shoulder's feeling happy today, maybe we open up a little wider. If the top shoulder isn't feeling real happy, you can always bring this hand to your hip and push just with a little bit of tension with the back side of this arm onto the back of your leg. Perfect. Come out of that twist. Hands to heart. Send them to the earth. Start to step this foot back, and then you have two options. You can hang out right here in child's pose where we've already been this morning, or if you're comfortable with down dog, maybe your toes curl under and you take your first down dog of this morning. This time together. So your hips are lifted up towards the sky if you chose down dog. Maybe your knees are bent, or remember child's pose is just right here. I like to give you options because sometimes we come to the mat energized and ready and we want some more movement, and other times we come with our cup almost empty. We just need a slow version of yoga to help us refill that. Wherever you are on that spectrum is fine. I'm just glad you're here. I'm glad you made the time for yourself. So whatever you've chosen, let's start to work back to our knees. You're going to step your left foot all the way through this time. Bringing it up towards your hands. All right, from that kneel position, you can add blocks like you did before. You can kind of play with weight moving forward and back. I really thought I told my mom I was teaching this morning. That was my mom interrupting our music, calling me. Oh, she's calling me again. Mom. Busy. Know this. All right, start to walk your chest up, arms reach tall if you feel comfortable with that. Remembering those back toes. They can stay flat or they can curl under. Sometimes when you curl them under, it gives you a little bit more stability if you feel like you need it. You also can widen your feet a little bit, taking this foot slightly over. Sometimes that gives you a little bit more space. Hands coming to your heart, and then you've got that twist. Reach maybe over just outside that knee. You can stay right here. You can take your top hand to your hip, or you can open your top hand. Big door, swinging out to the side. You got a little bit of pressure with the back of the arm on that leg. Now, of course, if this isn't sitting well with you today, it's okay. Time. Maybe hands come back to center, and then we'll send them down to earth, and you've got the same transition options as you had before. Child's pose or downward dog. You're going to take about 3 or 4 breaths in whichever option you choose. So just take your time to find your way there. Use that breath to create a little bit of space in the body. If you're in a downward dog position, it might feel nice to kind of walk the legs a little bit. All right, if you've been in down dog, meet me back on your hands and knees. All right, finding that table one more time. Right hand is going to reach straight out in front. And maybe we'll see if we can extend the left leg long. Now this is a balancing table, it's a big shape. So if it isn't working with you today, maybe you bring your hand down and you only focus on your legs. Or you bring your leg down and you only focus on your arm. You can always cut the pose in half. But if you're feeling like you can hold both limbs out and extended, let's stay here for another round of breath. Engaging that core, pulling belly button in towards spine. If you've had your back toes pointed, maybe try flexing them and see what that does for different areas of the body. That glute fires up. Beautiful. Hand comes down to earth. This leg that's been long, just bring it back, let it touch the floor, and then kind of push through your heel. So you're getting a big calf stretch. Perfect. Bring that knee back up to the middle of the mat. You're going to switch. Opposite leg goes long. Opposite arm reaches out. Balancing table. Maybe you point through the toe. Or maybe you flex the foot. Remembering if it's too much, you can always bring a hand down and just focus on the leg or vice versa. Mighty legs, beautiful. Hand comes down to earth, toes come down and tap your mat. Push through that back leg, get yourself that same calf stretch. It's not uncommon in the summer months to get some kind of Charlie horses cramping happening in your lower extremities, making sure that we remember to hydrate all day long. So these good calf stretches sometimes can come in handy when our legs feel tight. Perfect. Bring yourself back up to hands and knees. Now I'm going to give you two options. I want you to meet me standing. So first option is downward dog, walking feet to hands. Second option is walking yourself back towards your feet, something that looks like a squat, and then standing up. Either way, you made it. Everybody's standing. Let's get ourselves up towards the front of the mat if you're not already there, and stand nice and tall. So think about rooting your feet down into earth. Maybe they're foot, you have about a baseball or softball space in between your feet. Some of us might need more like a volleyball, or you put them hip distance apart, whatever feels best to you. Drop those shoulders down, close your eyes, and bring your hands palm to palm right at your heart. Same visual as before, thinking about that bouquet of flowers in your hands. Inhale in. Set of candles, blow it out. Have a slow birthday candle breath. You don't want to blow too fast. Let's try again. Heart might be beating a little fast. Let's try one more. Nice work. Inhale, hands up above head. Keep some space. Again, imagine you're holding almost like a volleyball or beach ball for summertime right in between the hands. Plant those feet on the earth and just get a little tilt to your right. Square just a little bit so they can see me. Tilting to the right. Inhale, bring that back to center. Oh, your side body's so thankful. Relax those shoulders down and then go the other way. Yeah, bring that back together. Now, if that was challenging enough, you're going to stay there. If you want a little more, you can bring your hands to touch and now bend. A little bit different for your shoulders when the hands are together. Back to center. Keep breathing. Relax those shoulders. And then go the other way. Back together. This time you're going to bring your arms to a cactus. And then you're going to still do the same thing. Sliding along the little imaginary wall behind you. Back to center. This time, go ahead and bring the elbows down into the side bodies, almost like you're making a letter W. Feel your shoulders open a little more, a little pinch in your upper back, and then you're just going to bend your knees. Inhale to stand. And then you'll exhale and you'll sit back in that bent knee. If you want to add a little movement, maybe when you stand, the arms go up to a Y. And then when you sit, they go back to a W. Just give me just a couple more. Working on some basic skills like standing and sitting, keeping those quads nice and strong. Last one. Next time you stand, just let your hands come into your heart. Imagine that bouquet again. Close the eyes. Nice full breath in. Nice exhale out. 2 more times. Take your time to feel grounded once more through your feet. We're going to play with a little bit of balance next. Right foot's going to ground itself into the floor. So start engaging the muscles of that right foot, spreading out the toes, thinking about the ankle, the calf, the quad, everything getting really strong, and the roots of that leg. Your left toes might come to kickstand or maybe slightly up onto the ankle. You, of course, can move yourself to a wall, or those of you at home might reach for a chair if you want it for any of this balance work. Inside edge of the foot in place, shoulders drop down, put some pressure between your hands. And anytime we need to reset, just come down, do a little tap, do a little wiggle, and get back into it. Find a place of focus several feet out in front of you. Just breathe. If at any point in time you decide you want to lift hands up, or if you're using a chair or a wall, you can keep one on and one lifted. Perfect. Start to bring the feet down. Nice work. Separate your feet a little bit wider. Maybe do a good hip circle. I don't know if the microphone picks up my snap, crackle, pops that you all get to hear in studio, but sometimes that happens. All right, start to bring your feet back together. Left foot this time is going to be your standing leg. So if you've been using a wall, you might kind of turn yourself around so that you can turn the knee outward away from the wall just so you have more space, but whatever feels good to you guys. Toe on the earth or maybe slightly lifted. Always thinking about keeping a nice square at the pelvis. Maybe hands to heart, equal pressure between your hands. And start thinking about that same pressure happening in your legs. So if you've got a good squeeze in your hands, you're also trying to do calf to foot, foot to calf. So that same kind of pressure happening down there too will force you to engage the core, the glutes, quads. Stand with a stronger foundation into the earth. Of course, knowing the wall or the chair is always there. And if you choose to elevate an arm or two, feel free. Finding something to focus on that's not moving. So look down at the floor, look at the wall in front of you. Some may even choose to find a ceiling tile or an imperfection that they can just glue their eyes to for a moment. And stay in that shape. Easing your way back down, feet to earth. And then those same hip circles might feel nice. Maybe even ankles want a little attention this time. Some of us might even feel good taking a full like ragdoll or forward fold. Whatever feels good in your body. You know you've got time when we transition. So I kind of take my cues from you all sometimes, watching to see what movements you take. All right, excellent. We're going to give ourselves one more round of balance. So if you've been at a chair or at a wall, you can stay there for one more little bit. We're going to play with eagle pose today, which is a pretty big one. Eagle pose has to do with the outer edges of our hips, some work for quads and knees, upper back, and shoulders. So just think about your right leg gluing itself in the earth. You can crisscross at ankles. That's a good place to start. Or you can go higher where knees crisscross. So wherever you feel most comfortable is fine with me. Almost kind of think about like a preschooler who needs to take a potty break. This is kind of what this pose reminds me of. They kind of pull everything in. So whatever leg is on top, that's the arm that's going to go under. And you can even crisscross higher. So like elbow at wrist and then push those two together. If that feels good in your shoulders, you can just start to slide that elbow until it gets a little closer to the other one. Now, if you're doing this with a wall, which is fine, you certainly can. An option is to just bring this hip so it touches the wall, so that the only balance work you get, if you need it, is you can just kind of rock into that wall and it catches your shoulder. Hold that shape for one more breath, also knowing you can just give yourself a hug if your shoulders feel too tight today. Perfect. Start to relax out of that shape. Step yourself out. We're gonna go a little wider. So maybe you turn sideways on your mat. If you're not on a mat, that's fine too. Maybe you're just wide on the floor and just give yourself a little bit of space. So kind of just rock around here. Big stretch for that outer hip, inner thigh. It might even feel nice to add a little bit of movement in your upper body. You can go back to those Y's and W's as you shift. So I know it feels a little like aerobics right now, but we're just trying to pay attention to the way our body naturally wants to move sometimes. Static poses are phenomenal. They do lots of great things for us, but our bodies generally crave dynamic movement because that's familiar. It's not used to having to stay frozen in an awkward pose. All right, take yourself back to wherever you want to be on your mat, or just next to a wall or by a chair, whatever you've chosen. Opposite leg becomes your standing leg. Crisscross again, maybe towards ankles, or maybe go a little higher at those knees. Whatever leg is on top, that's the arm we're going to take underneath. And we just kind of bend. Elbow takes itself. I always put mine about right up, halfway up that arm first, and see if I can bring the back of my hand to my wrist first. If that feels good, then I can kind of slide them tighter. If it doesn't, then I go further apart. It's a good way to still feel like you're taking the shape, still getting that nice big stretch across the trapezius, the upper back, the shoulders. The deeper you sit into these knees, the more you're going to feel it in your outer hips. Across your low back. Engaging that core by being solid into the earth. It's a big shape, I know, so take whatever version feels best to you today. Excellent work, guys. Take your time, get wide again. Maybe an X, and then maybe a big forward fold. If the heart agrees with that, you can give yourself a nice fold towards the floor. Maybe arms catch at ragdoll, or they reach for the earth. Now, if you know you have blood pressure issues where you tend to get dizzy when you hang upside down, your option is just to bring your hands to the tops of your thighs, or you can go put your hands on the wall and take a forward fold with hands on the wall. Beautiful work listening to your own body. I see lots of bent knees, which is fantastic because a lot of times we focus on that big rounded back, reaching for the floor. We sacrifice our low back, so good job bending the knees to make sure that we care for ourselves. Heads might be heavy if that feels okay to you. Always remembering not to hold the breath. Keep it steady and flowing. All right, beautiful work. Take your time to come up maybe halfway and just kind of pause there. Perhaps hands are on your knees. You see where your breath is. Locate it. And then you find a nice big inhale to bring the chest back up. Walk your feet in towards one another and give me one more round of our bouquet and candle. So just use that visualization. See that beautiful bouquet of flowers, any colors you've chosen, and then blow out the candles. 2 more times. Perfect. Hands drop down towards your sides. We're gonna head down to the earth. So you can make whatever choices make sense in your body to bring yourself to a seat. Some of you like a yoga squat, so if you want to squat down with knees together or knees apart for a couple breaths, feel free. If you just want to kind of, work your way, however feels best down to the earth, that is fine too. We're going to be on our seat. We're going to put our legs out in front of us when you're ready. So it looks like we're almost all there. Perfect. Seat on the floor, feet out towards the front of your mat. Kind of talk through those sits bones again, kind of pulling the cushions out from underneath of you, see if you can make some connection there. And then I want you to think about your upper body like a blanket. You're going to inhale and lift your arms up towards the sky, and then exhale and just kind of collapse over your knees. So seeing as much of your belly as we can bring down to the tops of your thighs. Your head probably hangs down between your knees. Now, the amount of bend in your knees is going to be up to you. Some of us, it feels really good to have deep bends. Others of you have really shallow bends because you're taking a bigger forward fold. Whatever feels good to you, of course, works for me. Head is relaxed, spine is long and stretched. Getting lots of relief here as we just settle to the floor and breathe. Inhaling to bring the chest back up. Hands come down towards your sides, and we're going to settle onto our backs. We are getting to the end of class, so if you know you like blocks or a blanket or a bolster, anything like that you have handy for Savasana, feel free to reach for it, get it close. I'm going to pull my knees in when I hit the floor, but you don't have to. If this feels good to you, pull your knees in towards your belly. If you'd rather something that looks like that windshield wiper pose we had early on, you certainly can take that one instead. Since we gave a little love to our hips today, we're going to finish with another hip stretch. Something that I like. Hopefully it will feel good in your body too. We're going to put our right foot down onto the floor. You're going to lift your left foot to the sky. And then you're going to bend your left knee towards your body. Okay, so it's going to come down towards you until you can reach it. So hand will reach towards that foot. Maybe it grabs the ankle or the foot. I have to bend my left knee out towards the left edge of my mat. I look like I'm doing happy baby, but it's only half happy baby. So your hand might reach for outer edge, inner edge, big toe, or if none of those work, which is okay, just wrap your hand around the back of your left thigh. Just hug it down towards the earth. So you might have one hand on it, just grabbing on the outer edge, and that knee can go way over to the left. It can head even off the mat if that feels good in your body. Some of us kind of rock around here to give us that half happy baby shape. But remember, if this is too big, just relax it a little bit. Don't reach for the foot, grab for your ankle. And bend the knee a little differently. Maybe your head sways, maybe your shoulders relax a little more. It's a big shape, so if it doesn't settle, go find a different shape. Adjust. All right, start to come out of that slowly, just as slowly and with as much much care as you went in. Maybe the foot comes down and finds the floor, knee bent towards the sky. And you're gonna have one hip that feels very different than the other. Make that observation. And then we'll see if we can make them even. So lift the other foot to the sky. Bend the knee. Let it bend towards the right edge of your mat, or the left edge. No, right edge. And reach your hand towards either the outer edge of your foot, or maybe the ankle, or wrapping the hands around the back of the thigh. And you're in a half happy baby. So opposite knee is staying bent, foot on the floor. Other foot's getting some nice attention with that hip opener. Now remembering that we're not all made the same, so if something needs to be modified or adjusted in your body, please take the invitation to do so. All right, my friends, take your time to come out of that shape with just as much care as what you did to go in. Perhaps both knees are up towards the ceiling. We'll let them windshield wiper a little bit. Maybe arms stretch out to T. I know in person we all have plenty of space for that shape. At home, hopefully you've moved the furniture enough so that you can make a T with your arms. Just kind of rock those knees, easy side to side. Maybe you get to the right and you say, you know what, that feels really nice. I'm gonna adjust my hip just enough to stack my knees and stay still in a reclined twist. If that doesn't sit with you, you of course don't need to take these big twisted positions. Some of us love these at the end and others find them a little too energizing. So you make the choice. Knowing you can always stick a block between your knees or between your feet, or even on the outer edge of that knee if we need something to help catch it so it doesn't go quite as low to the floor. If you have yet to switch sides, take your time using your hands, letting them help those knees to center, and then maybe you adjust and try this twist on the other side. Again, you might have to kind of fix your hips, stack them a little differently so that it doesn't cause any pinching in the spine. Remembering that a stretch should never hurt. A stretch sends signals that we've got some work happening, but we should never have anything that sends a pain signal to the body. Those of us who've been hanging out in a twist, take your time, bring those knees back up to center, and then just start to see if you're ready. Just a quiet observation about how the body feels. Are you ready for your last pose of class? If there's anything else that the body might be calling for, you certainly can visit that in the next moment or two. Otherwise, see if Savasana is your next step. Savasana has many options. That final resting pose, perhaps your legs are long down the mat, similar to that C-star or that X shape that we took on the floor at the beginning of class. Legs equidistant apart, heels planted, toes turned out, maybe hands on belly or out to the sides with palms facing upward. Others, that doesn't feel real great, so you can always do Savasana with bent knees, maybe just letting those knees kind of collapse in to touch one another. This is called constructive rest. Oftentimes that's very therapeutic to those who might have a slightly aching lower back. Or if resting on your back just isn't your thing today, you can certainly roll to rest on your right hand side or your left using your arm as a pillow and take a side lying pose. Wherever you end up, you're going to stay there for a few more moments. Connecting once more with that steady inhale and your steady exhale. Letting the last moments of today's class just be what you need them to be. A chance to examine thoroughly, isolate what's important, and let the rest just fall away. Use the breath to let everything sift and then settle back in place. Slowly starting to become aware of your breath. Begin to let easy movements back into the body. Maybe you're just wiggling of your fingers or wiggling of your toes. Maybe your head starts to sway a little bit on the earth. If your legs have been long, you might gently begin to bend the knees. Those sway or pull the knees into the chest, but everything is on your own time here. No rush. As you start to feel ready, we'll move ourselves onto one side, finding that side lying Savasana. Perhaps you're right, just because it helps elevate the heart. after having been flat on your back. And you can just rest there for a couple breaths. See how the earth feels. Begin to bring yourself back to fuller awareness of your space, your body. Coming back to the seat when you feel ready. Pushing into the earth. We'll close class similar to how we began, just kind of finding that mindful moment, palm to palm, resting right at your heart, closing the eyes, and we'll conclude with a little thought-provoking reading to take with our day. Today's is entitled, What is Yours? Today, practice noticing the quality of your feelings and thoughts when you are around people. If you observe that the quality of your internal landscape around certain people becomes negative and sticky, use the support of your breath to reclaim your power to separate what's yours and what could be their projections. Use the support of your breath to reclaim your power to separate what's yours and what could be their projections. Today, practice noticing the quality of your feelings. Taking a nice full inhale through your nose, we'll take this last breath together, exhaling to release. I greatly appreciate you making time not only for your physical body, but for your mind and spirit to come and sift with us today. Thank you for being part of our community. Namaste. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. You are welcome. Thank you. Thank you at home. Bye, Barb.